Okay, we're in business.
Okay. My name is David Surrey. My father's name is Robert Alan Surrey. And this is some memories as a child on a different angle of the story. The assassination of President Kennedy. Chronologically, I suppose this would start when I was about 10. My father became involved through his wife, her other wife, my stepmother. Her name was Mary Kessler, in the John Birch Society. And they became very active in the anti-communism movement and felt that the communists were attempting to take over the earth and all of that, and they were definitely Cold War people. They had meetings at the house. We would have maybe 50 to 100 people attend meetings. They would take up offerings to help the John Birch Society. They would watch movies. For instance, Communist Encirclement, Must It Be? That was a movie I remember watching with them, etc. And as time went on, they organized a little more, and my father was, at the time, was working for a company called Johnson Printing Company, and he was drawing a check to them, but he also became an ad manager and met General, Edwin A. Walker. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's back on.
Okay, and he met General Edwin Walker, who was a retired military man, who was an anti-communist and many branded troublemaker for his stance in the Korean War and in Vietnam against the military involvement. As time went on, my father became a PR man, public relations man, for General Edwin Walker, and he started making his political connections at that point. They were still actively in the John Birch Society, but a splinter group of the John Birch Society was also becoming active, and they were called the Minutemen. And they were more readily disposed to guns and things of that nature. They were more of a military type of group who wanted to defend the John Birch Society, etc. But as things went on, my father became, as I say, the PR man for Edwin Walker. At that time, I believe I think I turned like 11, or maybe 12 at the time. And one evening, we were at Edwin Walker's home. He was making a run for the governorship of Texas. And my dad was actively, campaigning for him. And my brother, my two brothers, my sister Karen, Julie, both stepsisters, and my real brothers, Bill and Richard, were with me. We were all at a house, General Walker's house, who had a nice, beautiful home on Turtle Creek here in Dallas. And we were stuffing envelopes to send in the mail. And as we were doing this, a shot rang out. Very loud. Bam! Echoed through the house. And my dad was there, screamed, "Everybody hit the ground," which we all did. Everybody dove. Even though we were kids, we knew what a gunshot was. So, as things went on, my dad said, "No more shooting." My dad jumped up and he goes, it came from right out front. And he goes, "You come with me, David." And we jumped in my father's car. And we took off down the alleyway, and he circled the block, and another gentleman.
What kind of car was it?
Well, my dad has a Sunliner, a Ford Sunliner.
What color was it?
It was white with a black convertible top. Pretty car. Anyway, we jumped in there and we took off after this gunman, looking for a car or something out of the ordinary. This is a nice neighborhood. And anyway, we circled around 4 or 5 blocks, 6, 7 blocks, something. Didn't get anything, and after a while, my father pulled up on the curb. We were about 3 blocks away, behind another car. And I was in the front seat of the car. And supposedly we had not found this gentleman, whoever shot at him. And my dad got out and he went up to this car. And the guy got out of the car and I couldn't see him. It was dark, it was at night. And he said, did you get him? And he said, no, I missed. I didn't see him. Or, no, I missed is what he said. And at the time I thought he meant he didn't see the guy who shot at him. They looked for him and he missed him. He didn't know where he was, and my father didn't either. So anyway, the police came, took a report, and they dug the bullet out, which missed General Walker from behind his head. I mean, it didn't miss him by more than about 2 inches, 3 inches. It went to the wall from where he was sitting at his desk. So the only reason I bring that into play is because that bullet casing, which they recovered from the wall, was later matched to the same gun which killed John Kennedy. So somebody took a shot at General Walker using the same exact weapon. That's proven in the police logs. So, as this is going on, I'm still a child. I'm not really aware of all this, but my father has gotten further and further into this hatred type of thing, and I became aware that they were drifting off into pretty radical areas, and we even actually had George Rockwell, head of the American Nazi Party, come over and have dinner with us at our house in Highland Park, where I lived. I grew up in Highland Park. And, you know, it's getting pretty radical. So, as things were going, I didn't really keep up too well with all of this. So I guess I did in a way, but, you know, I was a kid. I went to baseball, whatever. But, okay, but later, we went out, my dad and I, and he introduced me to a guy, Lee. You just call him Lee. And we went out to the woods, which was at that time was in Richardson, which was a wooded area. It was nothing hardly. We went out there and we were shooting some guns. My dad had a 30-06, and Lee had a 30-30 and another type of deer rifle. I can't remember what it was, but we were shooting these guns, and picked up all the shells. All the shell casings were all picked up. Right, so that was fun, you know, whatever. That was fun for me. I enjoyed it. First time I'd really shot a big gun. And we went home, and I didn't think anything about that. And maybe about 2 weeks later, we drove over to Oak Cliff to what I came to know as Lee Harvey Oswald's house. And his wife, Martina, was there. And she had a child, I think by a previous marriage. He was a little younger, not a whole lot younger. And when I went over there, they had a dog too. And so her son and I and the dog were in the backyard, and they, you know, did whatever, they were talking, whatever. Well, I went over there, I think a total of twice, maybe. That was about it. 2 times I might have seen him at his house. And, I mean, I can't recall the exact address. I do know it was on a little bit of a hill. It was a small white frame house. And anyway, as time went on, this came into play because I realized that when they accused Lee Harvey Oswald of firing the shots from the window out there, it was from one of the rifles that we had been shooting. I think it was the 30-30, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the Duro. And when they did the police investigation, they found shell casings in another part of the room. Not where he was shooting from, but in a different part of the room. Where those shell casings came from, supposedly was that gun that he was using. So apparently they think that he shot, got scared, scooped up the rails, ran through the building, through the shelves somewhere else, hid the rifle off to one side, and ran out the building and got on the bus. The rifle they found, the casings they found, they may not even be the real thing. That part could be set up as well. So, the stories just fed into each other. Now that I'm older, and I put them together, I start thinking about why this, why that, why I pick up shell casings, why do this, why do that. So, now as the family was going on here, my dad was getting more and more paranoid, and I started seeing, for instance, they moved me out of my bedroom. I had my own bedroom. My brothers each had a bedroom. My sisters had a bedroom downstairs. My parents had a bedroom. Well, they moved me out of my bedroom and in my brother's room, so we had 3 single beds in a 1 bedroom in this Highland Park home. And they turned the other bedroom into like campaign literature. And it had, you know, Communist America must be stickers, and communism is Jewish stickers, and all kinds of hate things about, you know, instant nigger, you know, things like this. Just really hate, you know, hate Jews, niggers, kikes, you name it. This is the language that I was living with at the time, and I didn't like it very much. But as he became more paranoid, we started doing some building. We carried up lumber by the piece, by, you know, maybe 30 or 40 pieces at a time, nails and stuff. And we started going up north of Antlers, Oklahoma, up in the mountains, in the Ozarks. And we'd go out there camping at first, and just, you know, having fun, and, you know, dropping off the stuff up there. And there was another family named the Assyrians, who also were doing the same thing we were, carrying up water and carrying up supplies, etc. up there. And as things started to take shape, we were building a house, basically, and it was a 2-story, fairly large home. I'm not going to guess on the size of it, but the way it was built was on top of a knoll, so you could see in all directions from around it fairly well. And it was kind of like on top of a little hill. I think they owned like maybe 30 acres on top of this. And as the house was being built, it was divided into 4 living areas. 1 large common area and a kitchen area. The kitchen area and the common area were on the 1st floor. Plus there were 2 bedrooms on the 1st floor and towards the front of the house. And there was, on the other side of the house, was only 1 bedroom. 1 larger bedroom. And upstairs, on both sides, were 3 bedrooms. Because the Assyrians had 3 children, we had 5 in total. And we built bunk beds in the rooms out of wood. And they built gun turrets on the roof with circular motions and dome, so that they could see around them and move around like this. And of course I found that cool as heck when I was a kid. You know, you see the whole thing, man, spin around, you know. And I started realizing that they were doing this for a reason. And I was building up towards the time that Kennedy got shot. And we were pretty well done with the home. Now, I have to tell you another little side trick on this, in case we go looking for this. If you want to find this house, there's a creek involved in a back road. And the creek looks like, when you come to the, like it flows through there, but you can actually see a little dam-like area where the water goes down like this. And on the side there, it looks like a bridge, or a little guardian area of rocks and stones. Well, when we would go up there during certain times of the year, not all the time, during the summertime when the water was down, you didn't have to do this, but during the springtime, etc., when we go up there in the wintertime, you'd have to take these rocks and stack them across in order for the car to be able to ride across the creek without getting washed down the creek. So it had to be high enough to where we could drive this lumber and stuff over. And then when we got to the other side, we would simply pick up the rocks and stack them along and look like a little wall retainer there. So that's another way for the tracks to be covered if somebody was just looking. But as this went on, I mean, I didn't not know what the purpose and who was staying in the room. We knew that because we camped there. I mean, I'd been there and we slept in the beds. So I knew the upper right-hand side of the house was our family's. It was just a hallway with 3 bedrooms. Same thing on the other side, a hallway with 3 bedrooms. Now, it wasn't like a staircase like you think of in a house or something of that nature. Of course, it was just a ladder set up. Just climbed up the wood on a wall. That's all there was to it. And there were 2 escape hatches leading to underneath the house with 2 tunnels dug to the edge for easy escaping if you needed to, at the sides of the house. Now, at the time, one other person that was involved in helping us build this home, I never saw the 4th person that was involved at all, never saw them. I am going to assume, my own assumption, that was Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't know that. But it was obviously somebody who was a player not to be known amongst the children or anything. I wasn't privy to any of that. Now, as this is going on, my dad had become involved with the Nazi Party, and they had formed a group called the Neo-Socialistic White People's Republic Army. And one of the members, I can't remember if his name was Jim Kelly or if his name was Kelly something, or I can't remember his exact name. But I'm having a feeling that the 2 rooms downstairs were for him because he did come up there once in a while on the weekends. And I really didn't know if he was married, had a family, didn't know too much about him. But I did know he was a police officer and that he worked out with weights a lot because we called him Stone Belly. And all his friends called him Stone Belly because he had his abs so tight that you could whack him one pretty good. He wouldn't even flinch. So we all called him Stone Belly. But his name was Kelly or last name was Kelly. I'm not sure on that. But it does turn out, as a player in this, on the day that Kennedy was shot, he was one of the players on the motorcycle that recorded the 3 shots. Now, as you know, there's confusion over what actually occurred. But he was a member of this group of people that I'm telling you about right now. My father, Lee Harvey Oswald, him, these are all players together in this group. And what their plan was and what they carried out, and he didn't really have, but I do remember like I said, the shot of Edwin Walker. And I'll tell you this, Edwin Walker was set up for that bust in the park about the homosexual thing. That was all a big setup. That's another thing altogether that discredited him very highly. But as this is going on, and my dad took me down with him to Johnson Printing Company. And by that time, I'm not even sure that he worked there anymore, because I know he was, like I said, a PR man for Edwin Walker during his gubernatorial run. And we went down to Johnson Printing one night after it closed, and we went in. There was 2 people there, and my dad was showing me how the printing presses worked, and they were running off some stuff, and yeah, what have you. And I was just a kid, like I said, 12. I just turned 12, maybe 13. Maybe I just turned 13, I think. And I was just, I didn't pay much attention to anything. Well, so happens that they were running off a full-length ad that ran in the Dallas Morning News on the day Kennedy was killed. And it was a poster that said, "Wanted, dead or alive, for crimes against humanity." And it was all about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the communists, how Kennedy almost got us all into this war over, 13 missiles in Cuba. My dad was very distraught, very angry about all of this. So as this plays out, they put that in the newspaper. Now, that happened the morning before Kennedy came to Dallas. Now,
I don't think it was in the newspaper. I think they just handed it out.
No, it was in the newspaper. It was in the Dallas Morning News. I'm positive it was in the newspaper, I think. I'm pretty sure it was. It appeared as an ad.
Yeah, what I read, it just said it was distributed down there, like a handout.
Well, it might have been. It could be. I don't really know. Again, I'm 13. I saw it. I saw it, and I know my dad printed it. He told me he did.
Right.
So I'm not sure.
Printed it.
Yeah, he printed it. I don't know what he did with it, but
Exactly. You didn't see it in the paper.
no, I didn't pull it out of the paper myself. Right. I just thought that's where it came from.
Right.
But anyway,
it was handed out as a minimum. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, as this is going on, then Kennedy got shot, and my father was arrested on that very day and put in jail for printing that. And he got out that night on bond, and of course eventually had to go in front of the Warren Commission, in which he took the fifth, or the fifth most of the way through the Warren Commission. But I was there physically as this was going on. So we were at that time completely packed up. Each one of us kids, my parents, all of us had baggage with clothing, etc., ready to go. Ready to go to the house in Oklahoma if we needed to, right away. We didn't do it, of course. About that time, as we're going through this, let me see here. I think I pretty well covered a lot of the things. I got pretty upset about all the things that were going on, and I was kind of trying to put two together, and my dad realized that I might have known a little too much. I don't know why he took me with him in a car the night General Walker was shot at. I don't know why he took me with him to Johnson Printing Company. I don't know why I was in the woods shooting guns with Lee Harvey Oswald. Don't know why he went to his house. Don't know why my father would take me other than maybe as a cover, because it's easier than taking my kid out, seeing a friend or something, I don't know.
And you're the oldest male child.
I'm the oldest male child of the group, etc. Well, we had a falling out, needless to say. When my father found out one of my best friends in high school was Jewish, the gig was up. So at that point in time, I moved in with my grandparents. My dad said, "I can't handle this kid no more." Because I did not put up with the hatred. I didn't see it, I didn't like it, and I voiced my opinions on it quite often. And my brothers were caught up in the web. They were going around school sticking communism as Jewish stickers on lockers and all kinds of crazy stuff with it. My father had them doing. But that's basically my story as far as that's concerned. And there's more detail, but for now, let's stop it.
Okay.
Very good.